Hello and welcome. I'm Enigmius and this is episode 30 of the Ultimate Feed the Beast Reloaded. Today, you know what this is. We've seen this before. We've seen this a lot. I have a promise to make. We are not going to spend the entire episode watching me put covers on the Mega Creeper because I've had enough of it. And if I've had enough of it, it's a pretty safe bet that you have too. So what I did was I decided first and foremost I wanted to get the legs covered all the way around. It's not just a cosmetic thing, it's also the functional thing of making sure that if I'm messing around with any of the modules and they should happen to come in contact with another module or the ground or something like that, that they aren't going to stick together and force me to go in with the pick, so to speak, and start busting them apart so that I can recover from the situation. So there is a practical purpose for wanting to get all the covers on. At the time that I finish getting the covers on the legs, I will be done almost half of all the cover application that is required for this project. There's 12 leg modules and 12 torso modules plus the head, but the head is a little bit different, and that's actually what we're going to be focusing on today once we get all these stupid covers on, is the head and how we're going to manage the whole idea of being able to get different faces on the creeper. Not necessarily different faces so much as when the creeper is running north, how do we get a face on the north side of the head and not the other three faces? Because that would look kind of ridiculous if just for the sake of convenience we managed to draw like a face on all four faces of the head that were visible all the time, and it didn't matter what angle you were viewing from, you would always see a face no matter what direction the creeper was supposed to be facing. That to me would be kind of like taking all this time and all this effort that we've put into this build so far and saying meh, doesn't really count for anything and we're going to make it look like ass now. So, actually, it was one of the viewers who put forward the idea, the one that I completely forgot, using the Computer Craft advanced monitors to do the faces. So that way I don't have to worry about using frames or pistons or turtles or block breakers or deployers or any of that crap. In order to make this guy work, I can just put in monitors on all the different sides of the head and then use different scripts to change from this side has a face to this side is just the modeled pattern, whatever. So that's what we're going to look at. I promise, I swear, I'm just doing the preamble now. I'm building anticipation. Truly. More covers. What the hell? Actually, this goes much faster. I sped it up. I sped up the recording for this. I wanted you guys to see that this is... Look, I already missed a cover. On the left-hand side of the screen, missing cover. See, the good thing about this is I get to watch it again after I've done it, and I get to see stuff like that, but damn it, I didn't want to see that. But this is a real build. This is a real time-consuming build. When you look at something like this one little segment is 30 minutes real time. And it adds up. It adds up a lot when you figure I've done how many segments already, just putting the covers on the legs. Now, I have spent a little bit of time putting covers on the inner faces of the torso modules. You can kind of see them coming around at the top of the screen now. Again, mostly as insurance against any kind of collision if I happen to be messing around. But here, you can see, now this is kind of funny because I hadn't actually intended on showing you guys this little bit. I was just testing with the cameraman to make sure that he could show what was actually on the Computer Craft monitors. But what I realized is if you look at, you can see my character standing there in front of the little computer on the ground and how his head is just going all kinds of crazy. I'm actually tabbed out of the game with my character staring at their inventory for this whole recording. And still, he's having a seizure. I have no idea what that's about. So that gave you an idea of, first of all, the size that we can get the Computer Craft monitors to. And also a very vague hint as to what's possible in terms of just sort of making things look a little bit more interesting. Now, I forget how many stacks of these monitors I made. And you can see, as you build them together, they kind of merge into larger and larger monitors as you go. The maximum size is 8 across and 6 down. And I started putting this all together, and I realized that there were a number of things going wrong. First of all, when I first tried to put the monitors down on the frames, it didn't work because there were no panels on the frames. Then, you can see here, I learned that the opening was too large to get an even number of full-sized 8x6 monitors in place. So, really didn't give me any option except to pull it all out. And I'm basically going around and redoing the head, first of all, so that it's the right size. This one face will be the appropriate size because I don't want to be messing around with individual smaller monitors. The one drawback to doing this project with this method is that in order to have the different colors, the different shades of green, for example, to do the mottled effect, I have to use advanced monitors, and advanced monitors have a yellow or gold outline around them, which you can see against pretty much any other color that I would use. So that's one sort of a drawback. And also, having to do the computer controls, I want them as interchangeable as possible without having to say, okay, well, I've got all these full-size ones plus these odd-shaped ones that I have to also account for and do different kinds of scripts for. I would ideally like to be able to write the scripts once and then just copy them around to the other 4 faces without having to worry about whether or not they're all symmetrical and all that other crap. So, you can see I'm putting frames in behind where every monitor piece will be, and then I have to put panels on every frame, which is not that big of a deal. They don't have to be any special material for the panels. They're not going to be visible in the finished project. But if I didn't do this with the panels, then I wouldn't be able to move the vehicle with all the monitors in place. Every monitor has to be adjacent to a frame with a panel on it, so that's why we had to put in all the extra frames. Which again is not that big of a deal because the head is a separate module from everything else, so it doesn't seem to account for all of the modules together in terms of adding up what it can and cannot move within the frame limit. So we're in good shape. Now, I've spotted some white lamps just for light. I've mentioned in the past this Mistcraft age. I'm always struggling to get things lit properly so that I can see what I'm doing, and this is no exception. First of all, it's nighttime, and second of all, it's just really, really dark. What you see now is brighter than what I see when I'm actually playing the game. So I've got the lamps there just temporarily like I did with the leg modules. And then once I get all of the front stuff done, ready to receive the monitors, then it's basically just a matter of making sure that the computers and all the peripherals that they need are going to fit in the back and putting the monitors into place. And again, you can see the yellow outline is pretty apparent. I can live with it. I'm okay with that because I think the overall benefit will be more significant than having that sort of yellow border around the different elements of the face. But you can see as I finish this last sort of monitor here, we've got a little bit of the green mottled in the borders, and then by the time we fill it in, there's a lot of really, really interesting stuff that we can do and be creative with just with this part of the build alone. So it was a great suggestion. I was really happy to receive it. And so now it's really just a matter of getting my act together with the Lua and setting myself up to take advantage of it. So there it is, real time. The creeper face that is not yet a face. It's not far from being a face, but I just needed to get the whole testing of the computers and where they're set up and how they're going to work with the monitors and all that other stuff. And you can see so far really all I've got is a test of the syntax to clear the screen and locate the cursor to the upper left corner, and also getting the size of the monitor so that I can use that when I'm figuring out how I want to set up the grids for everything. So the whole idea, in case I haven't been clear, is that say the creeper is facing that way, he's facing north. This side of his head should just be the modeled texture that you see everywhere else. If it's going to be like any other creeper, there shouldn't be a face on this side of the creeper. So when it's facing north, this will just be all the modeled texture, including the monitors themselves. When it's time for this guy to move east, this direction, that's when we can put eyes and a creeper mouth and have it actually kind of resemble a creeper face as it's moving in this direction. And then because we'll have monitors on all four sides, then this face that was facing north will revert to just a smooth modeled texture like you see everywhere else. So that's the whole idea. Now, previous plans included possibly having different panels made out of frames that would move in and out with the different face patterns on them. Pain in the ass. Pistons, block breakers, and deployers. I mean, you name it, trying to come up with something that would work without being a cop-out, which is what I really wanted to avoid. I didn't want to come this far with a build this large and then just half-ass the head, where we're adding really the only distinguishing features on the entire aesthetic component of the build. So that's what we did, is we got that suggestion to use the computer craft monitors, and we're going to follow through. The next episode, we're actually going to have a face on this guy and possibly a modeled pattern for the side, because I've got enough monitors made up, I think, to do another side of the head, so that shouldn't be a problem. It's just a matter of writing the scripts to do the face and the model bits. In addition, we have our command center down here, which is, this is where you saw me, my head was flipping all over the place, even though technically I was in a menu tabbed out of the game. I don't know exactly how that happened. And one of the things that I found interesting is when you're watching it in the video, this little pink strip here is actually a background color on the monitor itself, but the way it was lined up, it looked like you were looking through the monitor at the horizon, which was kind of interesting, but a little bit disconcerting when I first saw it as well, because it looked like something was wrong. You can see my little testing jumbo monitor. I'm just learning the syntax of controlling the monitors right now and getting everything on screen where I want it, how I want it. So that's why I've got the extremely basic testing going on. In addition, these are a dozen Reether turtles. These are the ones that are going to be controlling the legs. So we've got 12 leg modules, we've got 12 Reether turtles. Each one will be assigned one module on the legs, and then the turtles themselves will receive their commands from the master computer right here. And then this screen here will actually be a status display for each turtle. So if something goes wrong, if a turtle sends a signal to something that doesn't work, or if it's trying to do something that's not working, it will display it on the screen. Stuff like that. Nothing particularly important. Just having a little bit of fun with it. We're going to need another 13 Reether turtles, 12 for the torso and 1 for the head before we're done. And then I'm hoping, with the exception of the head stuff, that it'll basically just be a matter of coming up with the routines on one turtle to make it control one module, and then copying those across verbatim to each turtle, and then all we have to do is assign them a base frequency for their module, and the rest of the routines will fall into place. They'll be universal, everything will work. So that's the goal. So it shouldn't take too much to get the turtles into a position where they can move the modules around, and then it'll be doing the macro level stuff where coordinating the movement of all these different modules to actually make it look like this giant son of a bitch is doing something. From this angle, it really does look really, really tall. I would really like to get all of these pieces squashed together so that we can get an idea of its true size, but no matter how you slice it, this thing is freaking gigantic. So that's where we're at. So the main feature of the next episode, aside from any other progress that we make, will be the face on the computer craft monitors, which I think should be fun. I think it should be kind of one of those little things that buoys your spirits when you're in the middle of a long project. Barberizing your sheep and covering everything with green wool covers. And you think, I can't do another cover. And then all of a sudden you see a face and you're like, yeah, actually I can do a few more. And there's the one that I missed, but I don't have any covers on me to get that bastard. At least I know it's there. We'll get to it. So that's where we're at. A lot of work. We're at the point where a lot of time goes into it and very little to show for that time, but at the end is when it's all going to come together. So episodes might be a little bit shorter than we're used to until we get this guy done, but I already know what our next project is going to be, and I think you guys are going to love it. So if you want to see the Mega Creeper with a face, and you're not already subscribed to my channel, the easiest way to be notified when I add that episode is to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.